Morning. I'd like to call to order the December 12th Kankakee County. Call to order the December 12th Kankakee County Full Board meeting. Today's invocation is from Shane Ritter.
Let's pray. Lord, in this season of giving, Lord, we want to just offer thanks to you for all the things you give us, Lord. Lord, we are thankful for the recent news of encouragement in the county and the good things that are happening. Lord, we know all good things come from you, Lord. So we are truly thankful. Lord, I want to lift up this board. Lord, all the members in it, Lord, just ask for your blessing on each of them. And Lord, I want to especially remember Mr. Tripp and Ms. Polk, as I know they are dealing with physical and health issues. Lord, just ask you speak healing on them. Give them strength as they walk through the season in their life, Lord, and just put blessing on them. And Lord, I ask for each member here, Lord, that you would give us wisdom and discernment, Lord, as we deal with county business. Lord, help us to make good decisions, Lord, to weigh things with wisdom and discernment, and handle the resources of the county as the way you would have us to do that, Lord. Help us to do well with that. Lord, I do want to ask your protection on those serving in the military during this time, Lord, that they willingly give up their time for us, Lord, and sacrifice for us. And Lord, I am grateful for that. And Lord, I do want to remember them and ask your blessing on them. Likewise, Lord, for the officers that serve us in this county, Lord, I do ask for your protection on them. And Lord, that you give them grace as they deal with the things of the county and our protection. And Lord, I want to lift up other first responders, Lord. I am just so thankful for them, Lord, and what the service they provide for this county and for the people here, Lord. And Lord, I ask your blessing on them. Lord, I ask you to bless this meeting as we move forward. And Lord, that I just pray that everything we do and say would bring glory and honor to you, Father. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I please get a roll call this morning?
Mr. Tripp. Mr. Washington.
Present.
Mr. LeJess. Mr. Stauffenberg. Mr. Vickery.
Present.
Mr. Olthoff. Mr. Hess. Mr. Tholen. Mrs. Polk. Mr. McConnell.
Present.
Mr. Mulcahy. Mr. Scott. Mr. Snipes.
Present.
Mr. Byrne.
Present.
Mr. Seroy.
Present.
Mr. Lear.
Present.
Mr. Hildebrand. Mrs. Weber.
Present.
Mr. Einfeld. Mrs. Peters.
Present.
Mrs. Evans. Mr. Payton.
Present.
Mrs. Parker.
Present.
Ms. Dunbar.
Present.
Mr. Ritter.
Present.
Mr. Kinziger.
Present.
Mr. Fairfield.
Present.
And Mr. Wheeler.
Present. We have a quorum, and today under public commentary I have one, Mr. Nicky Yates from Kankakee, back at the microphone there.
Good morning.
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Nicky Yates, 155 North Hunter, Kankakee, Illinois. Suffer me for a few minutes while I chastise this county board for something you do hidden in plain sight. It's an elephant in your room, and it helps to justify, as far as I'm concerned, why you all are continually chasing your tail. There's a VAC position that opened up recently, Veterans Assistance Commission Supervisor position. Position opened up the end of November, and there was an individual that applied to that position. 25 years experience, military, all levels, proficient at Microsoft Office Suite. We served as a regimental operations officer overseeing some 3,500 military personnel. Action officer for planning, coordination, supervision of logistics, deployment, operations, and redeployment of rotating battalions of over 900 troops to and from Okinawa, Japan, and 200 Marine rotating units in and out of Haiti. Weapons Company Commander, taught at Florida A&M University through via the Marine Corps, teaching students at Florida A&M, Florida State University, and Tallahassee Community College. Was a combat training company commander, infantry company executive officer, platoon commander. Enlisted days was a drill instructor, aviation ordnance technician, education-wise, bachelor's degree from Illinois State University, a business management certificate from Tallahassee, Florida, master's of applied social science and public administration from Florida A&M University, and currently writing in the final phase of writing a doctoral dissertation for a doctorate degree. Lifetime member of Marine Corps League, Montford Point Marine Associations, American Legion Local 0085, and the Vintage Squadron. This individual was sent a letter after applying for that position that said, "Thank you for applying for the position. As you can imagine, we received a good number of applications. Sorry to inform you you've not been selected for an interview. Thank you for your time invested. We encourage you to apply for an opening for which you qualify." So all of this experience doesn't even qualify this individual for an interview for a VAC position here in the county. That's egregious on a whole different level. And it highlights that elephant in the room throughout this entire county. Nepotism and tribal allegiance outweighs qualifications and subject matter expertise around here. This is all about you folk, not you folk, well, you folk, hiring your own family and friends. And it's done at the expense
Mr. Yates,
of
if I
everyone
could,
else.
please. The county board does not have anything to do with hiring or hearing the resumes for this position.
speak-
It is completely you. Well, you said you folk speaking about this board,
I
and you
retract the
chastised
statement,
us
you
on a
folk.
couple of occasions.
I retract the statement, you folk. The Kankakee County government, most efficient?
Veterans Administration Commission, and they do have their own board who does all of this hiring. We have absolutely nothing to do with any of this situation. And I do believe that those are fine qualifications, don't get me wrong. But I couldn't sit back and let you chastise this board anymore for something we had nothing to do with.
Roger that. May I finish, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Throughout this county, you go to county, you go out to the sheriff's department, and there's 3 or 4 individuals all the same last name, and there are 3 or 4 individuals here with the last same name. If you could peel one layer of grape off the names of the women out there working out there as well, you'll find 3 and 4 more of the same individuals. You all need to really stop and think and look at what you're doing. This person didn't even qualify for an interview. And I'm waiting to see, because I'm confident, and I would be willing to bet my paycheck that the person that's hired for this position is, again, related to somebody in the county. That's the elephant in the room. And hopefully at some point, some of you learning folk will peep that out.
Under communications, don't have any today. Presentations, none at this point. Vacancy and appointments. We have a Scrivener's error on the first item here. It should read 227 as the resolution number, but it's a declaration of vacancy in the county clerk effective December 31st, 2017. If I could, Mr. Clark, could I get you to read that entire resolution into the record, please?
Read my own.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There will be a test.
Okay. I'll do my best. Okay. This is a resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, a declaration of vacancy for Kankakee County Clerk effective December 31st, 2017. Whereas Bruce Clark has held the position of Kankakee County Clerk since December 4, 1985, having been elected 8 separate times and is currently the longest-serving county clerk in the state of Illinois. Whereas Mr. Clark has performed the duties of his office with unrivaled devotion and competency, and under Mr. Clark's leadership, the county clerk's office has overseen over 60 county elections. In addition, Mr. Clark has participated in the observation, assistance, and supervision of elections in 9 different countries. And whereas Mr. Clark has received several awards for his service to Kankakee County, including the Illinois County Official of the Year in 2015, the First Time Voter Project Award from the International Center for Parliamentary Studies in 2014, and has been recognized for promoting voting assistance for people with disabilities by Option Center for Independent Living. And whereas the duly elected and current incumbent in the office of County Clerk of Kankakee County, Bruce Clark, has tendered his resignation effective December 31st, 2017, and whose elective term of office was to expire on November 30th, 2018. And whereas the elective office of County Clerk shall become vacant upon the unconditional resignation of the incumbent. Now therefore be it resolved that the resignation of Bruce Clark, Kankakee County Clerk, is accepted effective after December 31st, 2017, and a vacancy shall exist in that office following that date. The Kankakee County Board sincerely appreciates Bruce Clark's 32 years of exemplary service and congratulates him on his retirement. Passed this day of December 12, 2017.
So I need a motion to approve. We'll go with Ms. Peters, Mr. Vickery. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
It's very kind.
Yeah. Is there any comment at this point? Mr. McConnell.
And I'm sure we speak for all the board, but I think the one thing that I realize with Mr. Clark is the integrity that he has brought to the office that he holds, and has instilled that in his people underneath him. And the county is well aware of that, I believe, and the people and citizens of our county are. And so we're very grateful for that integrity that you have brought to the office.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Washington.
I'd just like to say that I commend Bruce for all of these years of service, just a year short of my years of service, and that he commits himself personally to every juncture that occurs within the county. He's not just someone who has a job. This is a commitment to Bruce.
Thank you.
Mr. Fairfield.
I just want to know if it's appropriate to applaud him for his service.
Absolutely. We do have a little something on order for Mr. Clark. It'll be coming, so you're gonna have to come back to another meeting. He's like, fat chance, I'm out of here. So, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything else from the board at this time? Well, then I guess that we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Clark, do you have anything to add to this now, or would you rather wait till later?
Whatever the board chooses, but a few comments if I could. At
Please.
The end okay.
At the end. We'll go at the end. We'll put that under new business. How about that?
There you go. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Moving on, we do have a motion to appoint. This will be the appointment of Dan Hendrickson to fill the vacancy of Bruce Clark, Kankakee County Clerk, and for point of clarification, that will be effective January 1st. So you're voting to allow me to make that appointment, because a lot of offices have a second, if you will. Yeah, we did. All those in favor? Yeah, it's voice vote. But that just, you're authorizing me to make that appointment. There are some things that we have to do on the state level with the state registrar, death certificates, birth certificates, that has to be seamless. So that's the way that this kind of succession work. We've been working with the state's attorney's office to make sure everything lined up correctly, so we can just, the new birth certificates, the whole thing. So it's a little bit different. Yes, there's an error somewhere in here. Okay, all right, because you usually catch those bones. Mr.
Make the motion.
You want to make the motion?
That we approve.
Making the motion, Mr. Hess. Second, Mr. Washington. All righty. Any comment on the appointment? I tell you what, we better read this into the record before we go any further.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois. The appointment of Dan Hendrickson to fill the vacancy of Bruce Clark, Kankakee County Clerk. Whereas the duly elected County Clerk of Kankakee County, Bruce Clark, a member of the Republican Party, announced his resignation effective 4:30 p.m. on December 31st, 2017, and whose elective term of office was to expire on November 30th, 2018. And whereas the Kankakee County Board accepted the resignation of Bruce Clark and declared a vacancy in the office of the County Clerk effective 4:31 p.m. on December 31st, 2017. And whereas under the authority of 10 ILCS 5/25-11, the unexpired term of the elective office shall be filled by appointment of a member of the same political party of the person he or she succeeds in office and shall otherwise be qualified to fill said office. And whereas the Republican Party, the Central Committee of the Kankakee County had recommended to the Kankakee County Board that Dan Hendrickson, a member of the Republican Party, fill the unexpired term of Bruce Clark. Now therefore be it resolved that the chairman of the Kankakee County Board, with the advice and consent of the County Board, hereby appoints Dan Hendrickson to fill the unexpired term of Bruce Clark for a term to commence on January 1, 2018, and shall expire November 30th, 2018.
Roll call. This is a roll call. Okay. When we, let me write something down here real quick. So the board is aware this is an appointment of the chairman with the advice and consent of the board. This is the candidate that I am bringing forward to you. I can think of nobody on any political front that would be more qualified to take the helm of this department than Dan Hendrickson. He's been with Bruce for what, 24 years?
22.
22?
23.
24.
That's two, okay.
So yeah, I nailed it. Wow. I
6
got that
years
right.
as chief deputy.
So he's been 6 years as chief deputy. We all know how involved in keeping the integrity of the elections he is. He carries that same commitment that his mentor carries with him. So as far as my choice, it was easy. But that's why I brought this candidate forward, is if there's any questions, comments, any of that kind of stuff. Ms. Parker.
I would just like to say that Mr. Hendrickson has earned my respect and my confidence for this position, and I highly endorse this appointment.
Anyone else? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Washington?
Aye.
Mr. Legess?
Aye.
Mr. Stauffenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Vickery?
Aye.
Mr. Hess?
Aye.
Mr. McConnell?
Aye.
Mr. McCahey?
Aye.
Mr. Snipes?
Aye.
Mr. Byrne?
Aye.
Mr. Seroy?
Aye.
Mr. Lear?
Aye.
Mrs. Weber? Mrs. Peters?
Aye.
Mrs. Evans? Mr. Payton?
Aye.
Mrs. Parker?
Aye.
Ms. Dunbar?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger? Mr. Fairfield?
Aye.
And Mr. Wheeler.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on, and congratulations, Dan, when the time comes. So, moving on, the certificates of recognition. We have Renee Palmer, 10 years in probation, not here today. Eric Senesac, 10 years in the sheriff's office. Robert Lowy, 15 years in the sheriff's office. We have Gus Regas, 15 years in the public defender's office. And James Lamore, 30 years in the highway department. Congratulations to all. We will make sure that we get these highly prized certificates coming your direction. So the minutes of the last meeting, November 14th, 2017 and November 29th, 2017. I need a motion to approve the minutes. Mr. Burns, second. Mr. Payton, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Claims committee report, we don't have one. We canceled the Finance Committee meeting in lieu of the special board meeting. Those will be coming forward. Department reports.
The Kankakee County Coroner's report for October 2017, there were 97 total calls, 17 coroner cases, 10 autopsies, 10 toxicology, 1 outside autopsy, 4 x-rays, 49 cremations, and 2 incompletes. The coroner's report for income for the month of October 2017, there were $3,295. The circuit clerk's report for the month of September and October, there is fees Actually, this is the October report. There are fees, disbursement of fees of $311,419.42. The Recorder of Deeds report for September 2017, the monthly report shows disbursement of fees to the county treasurer of $107,923.06. The Recorder of Deeds October 2017 monthly report disbursements of $122,580.75. The county clerk's report for the month of September 2017 fees, total fees of $21,944.80. The county clerk's report for the month of October 2017 fees of $25,437.80. The animal control report for the month of, it's not on the agenda. Do you want to approve that? Okay. Okay.
Animal control is not.
You're only approving the
Yeah.
reports for the coroner, clerk, and the recorder.
Yeah.
Coroner, clerk, recorder. Yep. Yeah, county clerk is not on there.
Right.
Animal control. Okay, the other two will move to the next meeting.
Coroner, clerk, and recorder.
Yep, this approval is for coroner, clerk, and recorder. Motion to combine and accept the reports. Mr. Vickery, Mr. Stauffenberg, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Alrighty, on the consent agenda. Is there anything need to be pulled on the consent agenda? Does anyone see anything you want to discuss separately?
And 207, you're appropriating fund.
It's MFT. Something else. It's always been on consent. We did actually look at it. I was curious. Anything to be considered separately? Final time? Anything? Alrighty, I need a motion to combine and accept Mr. Byrne, Mr. Legess. I'd need to read the title of each into the record, please.
A resolution appropriating funds for the payment of the county engineer's salary. A polling place change for Aroma Precinct 1 from CR Auto Group to the Eastridge Church of the Nazarene. A resolution authorizing execution and amendment of downstate operating assistance grant agreement. An appointment of Stephen E. Coy to the Ethics Commission. The reappointment of Glenn Ginder as Commissioner for the B.M. Lewis Drainage District. The reappointment of Anthony Langloy to the Canavan Drainage District Board. The reappointment of Richard Hoekstra to the Clawson Creek Drainage District Board. The reappointment of Michael Lambert to the X-Line Drainage District. The reappointment of Jeffrey M. O'Connor to the Gar Creek Drainage District Board. The reappointment of Gerald W. Hoekstra to the Little Beaver Special Drainage District. The reappointment of Dwayne L. Ferris to the McGilvery Special Drainage District. The reappointment of Richard Hansen as Commissioner to the Minnie Creek Drainage District. The reappointment of John Keir to the Rockville Drainage District Board Number 1. The reappointment of Ronald Beaver to the Rockville Drainage District Number 1 Board. The reappointment of Brent Langman to the Snake Creek Drainage District. The reappointment of Larry Origi to the Union Drainage District Board Number 2. The reappointment of Edward Van Drunen to the Union Drainage District Number 2 Board. And the reappointment of James Lamont to the Kankakee County Sheriff's Merit Commission. The reappointment of Jerry Hewitt to the Kankakee County Sheriff's Merit Commission.
Alrighty. Any questions about any of those? Otherwise, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Washington?
Aye.
Mr. Legess?
Aye.
Mr. Stauffenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Vickery,
Aye.
Mr. Hess,
Aye.
Mr. McConnell, Mr. Mulcahy,
Aye.
Mr. Snipes,
Aye.
Mr. Byrne,
Aye.
Mr. Seroy,
Aye.
Mr. Lear,
Aye.
Mrs. Weber, Mrs. Peters,
Aye.
Mrs. Evans, Mr. Payton,
Aye.
Mrs. Parker, Ms. Dunbar, Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger, Mr. Fairfield,
Aye.
and Mr. Wheeler.
Aye. Motion carries. Under other business, we announce a few openings. Some are recurring, many times over. One opening on the Kankakee County Board of Health. That's our appointment. If you, as they say, know a guy or woman, please bring him forward. 2 openings on the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. 6 openings on the Board of Examiners and Appeals. That entire board is up for reappointment. They've all been notified via letter that they need to reapply if they want to remain on that board. So if anybody knows anybody in those particular fields that wants to apply, have them send them applications. It's on our website. Have them send them in, as in the application for all these positions are on the county's website. Appointments. 1 opening on the Joe Bennis Drainage District, 1 opening on the Mantino Drainage District number 3, 1 opening on the Mantino Drainage District number 9, and 1 opening on the St. Anne Fire Protection District. So with that, there was some, yes, Ms. Dunbar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a question about the Board of Examiners and Appeals. It's been on there for like 3 meetings?
I think it's been 3 board
3?
meetings, yeah.
And I just had a constituent who did apply, who's not currently on the, I just wondered what the timeline for that, they asked me if I knew.
It's, we would appoint when we just appoint. It's
Just
when we get them
you
in.
feel
Yeah.
like it?
Yeah, yep,
Thank
Pretty
you,
much.
Mr. Chairman.
pretty much. So when the, those are being,
Go ahead.
those are done, old business? You had something, Ms. Parker? Before we get to Mr. Clark? Your committee resignation?
We had a resignation on the Animal Welfare Advocacy Committee. Jennifer from New Beginnings has resigned. She's moving out of the area apparently, and we will have an opening available.
And that'll be formally announced at community
The
service?
community service meeting and then to the general board, and probably the appointment then will start, I hope, in February.
It's the same process, send in,
Same
pull the
application
application,
process,
you
yes.
know, off the website and send it in. Okay. Is there anybody else? Mr. Snipes?
I will probably be a little bit on the new business. I know we're gonna do the thing with Bruce, so I want to kind of get out the way. This morning when I heard the Mr. and Major Yates speak, it appears as if his concerns was alleging either disparity and discrimination with the interview process. The right to an interview is not guaranteed, but when you add the statement to apply for future openings for which you qualify, raises my eyebrow and should raise the eyebrow of the board. While we don't interfere with the hiring practice of VAC, we need to inquire at least, or at least request an explanation as to their hiring practice to make sure it's in compliance with the ELC. It may be, but I think that it warrants that because of the statement. I would that in future that statement is not applied to any document, because that would raise my eyebrows. If that wasn't there, then I say it's just a process. So for the purpose of the executive committee that we're going to have, I probably will be recommending that when they come, and just kind of give us a overview of the hiring process, how they do, what they do, and what are those particular requirements, because I believe as a governing board, though they may be independent of, they still have to come to the county board with a report. And we want to make sure as a governing board that that the practices are, because that's within our purview, that it complies with the ELC standards, and that we need to know how this process in fact is. So not arguing who they hire, how they hire, but I do want to make sure that it is in compliance and that the process is fair.
Well, and then again, I do appreciate those comments, and while I would say that, you know, as a report of the executive committee, we can ask the questions of their process and how they go about things. We are only able to do things that the Illinois Constitution allows us to do.
Right.
And EEOC things are for an agency that is not under the county board's umbrella of purview, is not something we can do. It is something that other offices that address legal matters can do if they feel those things exist, but it's not our purview. We can't go outside of that because they are a separate agency that all we do is we enact a levy by statute to support a VAC.
Right.
So, and again, we can ask the question.
Right.
I think that's entirely appropriate to ask it.
Right.
But as far as enforcement of any of those laws or regulations,
Well,
that
no, the
doesn't
enforcement
exist with
then
the
will go
county
to the
board
EOC if
at
there
all.
was, but we
At
just
all.
want to make sure that any board or any agency that comes to the county board, that we just don't ignore if someone brings an item that's alleging things or whatever, because then we need to look at that. That's within our responsibility and within the right of the county board to look at. Any government agency for that matter, or any individual can come to this board and make an allegation, and if they do, it's just courtesy to make sure that we follow through with our end of just inquiring. Doesn't say that you may have the thing, but if we inquire and we see something out, then we can take a closer look at things and bring it to either their attention, or if not, we can better explain to them how that process was. And my thing is when I'm on this board is I deal with fair, firm, and consistency. If you bring it up, it's my duty to basically at least look at it. I don't want to just fall on deaf ears. And in this particular case, with that allegation and with that, I don't know why that's on there, but because they put it on there, that kind of raises eyebrows, because then you'll be asking, what is qualifications or whatever, and where are, I mean, it gets my mind, because I looked at his qualifications, and I'm saying, if you're not qualified, then who is? Because I would have to look at, but again, I would give them the courtesy of explaining that to me, but I also give Major Yates a courtesy of knowing that, you know, it didn't fall on deaf ears. We will look at it, and if anything else is from that, he does have the right to then, after that, because he can come to the committee, the executive board committee, to hear how that process is explained. And then if he's not satisfied, then certainly he's unlimited as to whatever resources or whatever stages he want to take it in. But as far as this concerned, the minimum courtesy is to ask the question.
Sure. And again, I appreciate that. And I would definitely, you're on that committee, you can definitely ask that question. You know, we do, and you'll have to forgive me, and I don't want to put Mr. Rowe on the spot, but I believe VAC would fall under the ethics guidelines of the county as well, because they receive taxpayer funds that are through the county. So if there is any type of ethical violations within any of those organizations that are not necessarily under the management of the county board, but they do receive taxpayer funds as levied by the county, I believe that is the way that is structured.
Yeah, but any allegations involving EEOC matters need to be filed through the EEOC, because there are certain timelines in place which if you exceed that date, you know, they won't take up the case.
Correct.
Something like that needs to go through the EEOC.
Well, we're looking at that, but I think the first process is to see if everything was fair, because then that person would not know, and they have the opportunity to hear the process for themselves, starting with the executive, and then they can go wherever they want to if they feel that it's warranted. I agree with that, but I'm just saying in our position, it's a question that needs to kind of come up so that we will know for ourselves. And he would also know as a constituent when he's applying what are qualifications, what are the minimum qualifications, what are the maximum qualifications, and I don't want you to be overqualified, underqualified, or never just qualified. That's just some questions that raise my eyebrow.
Okay. Any other new business? Or old, new, otherwise business? All righty then, I think we're entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, Mr. Clark. I'm sorry, we got sidetracked there.
That's all right.
Yeah, no, you have the floor, Mr. Clark, please.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for some time to just share with you some thoughts on retirement and members of the board. It's been certainly an honor to serve the community in this board. I attended probably close to over 350 meetings, maybe closer to 400, but who's counting? So I wanted to take a little bit of time just to let you know some of my thoughts. I've been dealing with retirement for quite some time. On numerous occasions, I discussed, with my family, and I've said to them, I think it's time to retire. And there was always another project that needed to be done, another important election that needed to be taken care of, things that needed to be done. So when I recently said to him the last couple of weeks, I'm planning to retire, the response was, right, sure. I'm sure that that's the case, whatever you say. So, but this is my retirement. So, when you run for public office, and the people in this room know very well, you don't do it alone. You do it with a lot of help from your family, and you do it with a lot of help from your friends. And I've been very blessed to have unwavering support from family and friends that when I go through this process. And thanks to your technology, many from different states are watching, hopefully right now. So thank you, Andy, for doing that. I've enjoyed the political arena. I've enjoyed the process of the campaigns and putting up the signs and going to the parades, going to the events. I've enjoyed the competitive nature of competition in our political process. And all of this has been accepted. My family's understood that process and have accepted it and have fully supported me. And so for that, I want to say thank you very much. Many people in county government helped me when I first took office and started learning the job. When I first came here, Mr. Washington and Mr. Tripp were the only two in this room today that were currently on the board at that time. And what wise gentleman once said to me when I said all these people are helping me, what can I do to repay them? And he said, you pass it on. So I've tried to pass that on to new people coming into our political process, new people that have come into government for many years. I think there have been many accomplishments over my years as county clerk. And back in July, I gave you a comprehensive financial and services report that outlines some of the things that we're really proud of in the county clerk's office. But maintaining a high level of service is so important to me for public service, providing service to the community, whether it be in vital records, where we have automated all of our records. We've scanned over 400,000 records that are currently, many are online through our genealogy website. It's now purely electronic through birth and death records. Our tax process has undergone a lot of changes that we've implemented, tax caps, Patel, that are under Patel, TIF, enterprise zones, so that our office can provide accurate information when we calculate tax rates. And elections has been from the time we started to now, it's been light years away. The changes that have been undergone with mandates and implementing a lot of the policies is really changed over time. I want to talk just briefly about staff. I've been very fortunate to have 4 chief deputies, starting with Virginia Paznokas, Esther Fox, Donna Woolard, and now Dan Hendrickson. Each had special talents that were brought to the office that we made provided for better service. And I just want to say that Dan is uniquely qualified to serve as county clerk. We're coming into a new age of a digital age with automatic voter registration and new challenges in that area, and that is certainly up his alley and in his wheelhouse. Staff we've devoted a lot of time to training. Staff have been dedicated. They've been very capable individuals, and they're appreciated very much. Finally, to the media, the media is very important to what we do and to many other offices. Getting the information, timely information and accurate information out to the public makes government, our county clerk's office, work with the election process, important dates. We've had a good friendship. It's one of mutual respect. And I appreciate what you do for the community and for Kankakee County. When I go overseas and see some countries that don't have that freedom of the press, that is something that we have taken for granted and that we shouldn't, because the freedom of the press is so important to our democracy. I want to just wrap this up. I know I've rattled on too long, but in conclusion, this is an intense job, like many of the offices in the county, but I've given 110%, and I've done the job to the best of my ability. I know it's time for a different arena for me now, and you kind of know that when you get to that point. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but I want to just spend more time with my family, and I want to work in other areas of interest, so I want to thank you very much.
Thanks again, Bruce, for all your years of service. Thank you for helping me along the road of understanding some of the ins and the outs of the levies. And, that's a minefield when you start sitting in the hot seat, because that's really involved. And I tell you, he really knows what he's doing there. You took your watch off. I thought you thought what we had for you was a watch there. You've seen the financial statements, haven't you? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right. I do appreciate it again. I guess with that, Mr. Legess, do you have something for the group?
Yes, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Mr. Snipes coming in with a second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Have a great day. Take care.